I've diagnosed thousands of lawns over my 25 years in the landscape industry, and I see one thing that occurs over and over again. Most damage is not caused by insects, it's not caused by disease, and it's not caused by drought. It's caused by homeowners, but it's not their fault. They were following advice that sounds completely logical, but for warm season turfs, it was totally wrong. Today, I'm giving you the 10 mistakes that are quietly killing warm season turfs all across the country. And I promise you, number 8 drives me absolutely crazy. Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Warren, and you're watching The Plant Doctor. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1, and this one affects nearly every homeowner that I've ever consulted with, and that is mowing too high. For Bermuda grass, you want to mow between 1.5 and 2 inches. For zoysia grass, you can mow slightly higher in the 2 to 2.5 inch range. I've had clients mowing their Bermuda grass at 3.5 and even 4 inches, the standard height for a fescue lawn, and they wonder why their Bermuda grass looks thin and spongy. Here's the science behind it. Bermuda grass and zoysia grass are lateral grasses. They spread by rhizomes and stolons spreading across the ground. When you mow too high, you're shading out the lateral growth, accelerating thatch buildup, and actually encouraging weeds to move in underneath. Mow these grasses low and mow them frequently during the growing season. Here behind me, this zoysia grass gets mowed approximately once a week. Mowing at the right height and on the right schedule is part of the equation for having a thick, warm season turf. Mistake number 2, and this is completely opposite of what most people think good lawn care looks like, but it's watering too frequently. I've had clients tell me they water their Bermuda or zoysia every single day during the summer because they want it to stay green. And I understand that, but here's what's actually happening underground. When you water daily and shallow, you're training the root system to stay near the surface, never penetrating deeper than 1 inch or 2 into the soil. The result is a lawn with shallow, weak root systems that is far more vulnerable to heat stress and drought, the exact conditions warm season lawns are supposed to handle. 1 inch of water once a week. You can do this in a single day, or you can split this up over 2 days and water 1/2 inch each day. Let the soil dry out slightly between waterings. This forces the roots to grow downward and what gives your grass extreme drought tolerance. Number 3 is fertilizing at the wrong time of year. And there's 2 windows where this can possibly go wrong, and I see both constantly. The first is fertilizing too early in the spring before the grass has fully broken dormancy. Warm season grasses should not receive nitrogen until the soil temperatures have constantly reached around 65 degrees Fahrenheit at 2 to 4 inches deep. Below that threshold, the root system is taking up minimal nutrients or no nutrients at all. You're more than likely feeding the weeds and not the grass. The second, and this is more damaging, is applying nitrogen too late in the growing season. Any nitrogen applications on Bermuda or zoysia should stop 6 to 8 weeks before the first expected frost in your area. Late nitrogen pushes tender new top growth right into the cold temperatures, and that tissue is extremely susceptible to winter injury. If there's going to be any fertilizer applications in the fall, it should focus on potassium and not nitrogen. Potassium is going to help your turf toughen up for those cold winter months. Nitrogen in the fall is going to be a huge mistake. Number 4 on the list is not addressing thatch. Bermuda grass and zoysia grass by far have the most thatch buildup of any type of grass that I've dealt with in my 25 years in the green industry. Thatch is a layer of dead stems, stolons, and organic matter that accumulates between the soil and the green vegetative growth of your grass. A small amount of thatch, less than 1/2 inch, is actually fine. When it exceeds that threshold, you have a serious problem. Water can't penetrate to the root zone, fertilizers sit on top of the thatch layer and never reach the soil, air exchange at the soil surface level is cut off, and fungal diseases absolutely thrive in warm, moist thatch layers. If you have a thatch layer larger than 1/2 inch, the solution is simple. It is called dethatching, and this can be accomplished by verticutting with a special type of mower, which most homeowners can't afford. Also, a more simpler way to do this is simply use a leaf rake through the grass to pull out the thatch. For Bermuda and zoysia lawns, this needs to be done once every 1 to 2 years, if not more frequently if your thatch layer gets above 1/2 inch. This is not optional maintenance, it is essential. Mistake number 5 is skipping the spring scalp. This is more specific to Bermuda and to a lesser extent, zoysia grass. In late winter or very early spring, right before the green up, I recommend scalping your warm season lawn. Drop your mower to its lowest setting and remove the dead tan-colored top. This will accomplish two things for your lawn. First, it removes the insulating layer of dead material and exposes the soil to sunlight. This accelerates soil warming and speeds up the green up by weeks. Second, it's a clean slate so that new lateral growth has nothing blocking it. Timing is critical with your scalp. If you scalp too early, you run the risk of the young vegetative growth that you're pushing out being exposed to freezing temperatures. Wait until daytime temperatures are consistently in the 50s and look at your extended range forecast. Make sure there's no frost or freezes coming up before you scalp. Scalp, bag the clippings, and get out of the way because the green up that you'll see is amazing. If you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button below. It helps other people find this video that might need this information. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I put out a video once a week based on 25 years of real-world green industry experience. Now let's get back into it. Mistake number 6 is using herbicides incorrectly. And this one covers a lot of ground, so let me be specific here. First, let's start with pre-emergence. The issue with pre-emergence is timing. The herbicide needs to be applied before the weeds germinate. For crabgrass in a warm season lawn, that means your pre-emergence need to go down at a soil temp between 55 degrees and 65 degrees. By the time you see green vegetated crabgrass sprouting, it's too late. Pre-emergence don't work on crabgrass that has already germinated. The second issue, and this one drives me absolutely crazy, is using herbicides that are not labeled for your specific grass type. There are several post-emergent herbicides that are completely safe on cool season turfs like fescue, but cause serious injury on Bermuda or zoysia. And some products people use on Bermuda lawns are not necessarily labeled for zoysia. Always, always, always read your label before applying herbicides to your lawn. The science backs it up, and so does the fine print. Mistake number 7 I see is overseeding with the wrong type of grass seed. Now I want to be perfectly clear here. Overseeding a warm season turf like Bermuda or zoysia with ryegrass in certain climates when you want year-round color, that is perfectly acceptable. But here's where things go wrong. Throwing down a general purpose grass seed mix, the kind that contains tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, and perennial ryegrass. In the short term, it may look great. It looks like it's working. The cool season grasses germinate quickly, fill in the bare areas, but come summer, when Bermuda and zoysia are trying to spread laterally and fill in naturally, they're now competing with the root system of the grass seed we put down in the fall. The result is a patchy, inconsistent lawn that never achieves the density you're looking for. If you're looking to fill in bare or patchy areas in your warm season turf, the best thing to do is figure out what type of zoysia or Bermuda that you have. For example, this is emerald zoysia. If I were to patch this lawn, I would want to get sod or plugs of emerald zoysia, and no other type of zoysia, no Bermuda, and definitely no cool season grass seed. Number 8 is an issue that I'm currently facing in my yard because of these ever-growing shade trees that are off here to my south. Trying to grow Bermuda grass in shady areas. Bermuda is one of the most sun-demanding turf grasses that is in existence. It needs a minimal of 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day to maintain its density and color. I have seen homeowners spend years and significant money trying to maintain Bermuda lawn underneath maturing canopies of oaks and pines. It will not work. No amount of fertilizer, no amount of water, nor any treatment will make it grow. The plant simply cannot photosynthesize enough to sustain itself. Here is what I really love about zoysia grass in this particular context. In comparison to Bermuda, it is much more shade tolerant, and it's going to be my solution moving forward dealing with these shade trees. Varieties like Xeon and Emerald zoysia can perform respectably with 4 to 5 hours of direct sun. So if you have a shady property and you're committed to a warm season turf, zoysia is your answer. And if the shade is too heavy even for zoysia, that's where shade tolerant ground covers become the right professional decision. Number 9, and this is what I call the silent killer of warm season grasses, neglecting pH. Zoysia and Bermuda both prefer a pH around 6.5. When your soils drop below 5.5, which is common in the southeast due to rainfall leaching and natural soil acidity, nutrient availability collapses. Specifically, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium all become chemically unavailable to the root system at low pH, even if those nutrients are physically present in the soil. I've seen clients apply multiple rounds of premium fertilizer to their lawn when it was thin, yellowing, and did not look good at all, and ultimately nothing changed because the pH wasn't right. The moment we did a soil test and corrected the pH with agricultural lime, the response was remarkable. Within one growing season, the lawn looked completely different. Get a soil test. It's inexpensive. It tells you exactly where your pH stands. And if you need to apply lime, do so in the fall, so over the winter, the pH has time to adjust, and in spring, your grass is ready to rock and roll. This is potentially the most significant thing that you can do to encourage green grass throughout the warm growing season. Mistake number 10 is watering during the evening. And I understand the logic. You get home from work, it's evening time, and you turn on the irrigation. But that is potentially a nightmare for your Bermuda or zoysia grass. This is an open invitation for fungal disease, large patch caused by a fungus called Rhizoctonia. It is one of the most destructive diseases of zoysia grass in the south. It creates large circular tan-colored areas that expand rapidly in cool, wet conditions. And it absolutely thrives in grass blades that stay wet for extended periods. Brown patch is equally problematic in Bermuda. When you water at night, that moisture sits on the leaf surface for 8, 9, sometimes even 10 hours before the sunlight can dry it off. That's the perfect environment for fungal diseases to thrive. The ideal time to water is just before sunrise. That allows the water to seep down into the soil, not evaporate, but also as the sun comes up, any leftover moisture on the grass blades will be evaporated off, and we don't have to worry about fungal issues on our turf. There you have it. The 10 mistakes that I see homeowners make with growing warm season grasses. If you have a tip or trick that you use with your warm season turf that we did not go over here, leave it down in the comments below. I hope this video helps you grow a stand of turf that is green all season long. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor, and until next time, happy gardening.